we finally get some details as to the Roadhog and Sombra reworks. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. So let's break this down to begin with. So there is a new developer update on the Overwatch website, but this time, instead of it being produced by Aaron Keller, the game director, it's actually produced by the head of balance, or the lead hero designer, Alec Dawson. And this is what is said about the Sombra and the Roadhog reworks that are coming in Season 7. Here are some of our stated goals heading into her rework. Make Sombra more committal when engaging, increase the active feel throughout her kit, uphold her current hacker identity and playstyle. Now, there's been a lot of speculation as to what the new Sombra could look like. We do know she is getting new visual effects work from Blizzard. This means she's getting new abilities, or even old abilities will look different in the way that they are deployed in the game. Now, the speculation around this kind of centers, I guess, around the PvE unit that throws down the AoE hack field. Now, there is a chance that Sombra gets a similar type of thing. Maybe she gets some sort of EMP or hack grenade. Now, personally, I think that would be absolutely terrible if that happened, but you never know. That maybe would give her more agency, might make her feel more committal, sort of throwing in a hack bomb and then going in. There's also potential for things like the translocator to just be some sort of like instant translocator effect. You throw it and it teleports you. Maybe it pulls people with you. Maybe you can pull people out of position with it. I don't know. There's a lot that could be going on here, but this is the very first time we've actually got any specific information as to the direction they're going with the Sombra rework. So I want you guys to let me know in the comments, what do you think this means? Make Sombra more committal when engaging, increase the active feel throughout her kit, uphold her current hacker identity and playstyle. I mean, to me, that means they're going to keep Invis, but they're going to give her more ways to actually kill people, I guess. Now let's move on to Roadhog. So he says this: Roadhog is currently undergoing the finishing touches that will release with his rework in Season 7's mid-season patch. Our broad goals for his rework are as follows: increase his ability to protect his team and claim space, maintain his overall identity and playstyle, move some of his power around so that his effectiveness isn't so tied to his one-shot potential. This is really interesting to me because they've tried to do this like a few years ago now on the experimental card, if any of you guys remember that. But they basically gave Roadhog this like big AoE sort of heal. So when he huffed on his huff, he used his vape, he would sort of like heal people around him, and it didn't really work. So what are they going to do here? So they want to increase his ability to protect his team and claim space. Well, to me that says they want to let him, well, maybe heal his team or maybe absorb damage from his team, but how's he going to do that? And also, how's he going to claim space? Well, claiming space, maybe they're going to make him move faster. Maybe he vapes and it gives him a speed boost so he can get into a position quicker. I don't really know. Maybe they do something to his hook, because that would remain, I guess, keeping his identity. If he's throwing his hook out, but instead of it pulling people towards him, maybe it's got some other functionality, although I honestly can't really see that being the case. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. I think, again, this is quite interesting, and I do like this because it gives us a bit of behind the scenes kind of look at what they're trying to do with these heroes. And yeah, they're trying to explain the direction that they're taking them, but I think they'll probably be the big marquee things for Season 7. Obviously the remake of Sombra's abilities is going to come with the game as it goes live, the season, and then Roadhog, it's a case of mid-season patch. So yeah, I think interesting stuff though nonetheless. So let's break down the rest of this director's take. I'm not going to put the text on the screen here, but I'm just going to go over it in detail. I am going to read it word for word so we can get this fully across, and then maybe we'll have a little bit of discussion towards the end of this, but we'll see where this goes. So it begins as such. Hey all, this is Alex, the lead hero designer, stepping in for Aaron this week. We thought this director's take would be a good time to chat about our heroes, recent balance changes, and what we've learned from them, and talk a bit about the philosophy behind our two upcoming reworks for Sombra and Roadhog. Illari and the safe side of strong. Let's start with Illari. Going into Illari's launch, our slogan was safe side of strong. We want hero releases to be impactful. It's best for the game for a number of reasons. Monetization, selling battle pass, buy the strong hero. But most importantly, it creates change throughout the meta. An impactful hero launch can shift other heroes' viability and create new and unique team compositions. An unimpactful hero launch can feel as if the game didn't enter a new season. Hello, Lifeweaver. Making a new hero feel impactful on launch is challenging because we are asking you to choose between the hero and their overall potential versus picking the heroes that you may have hundreds or thousands of hours on. Players like to try new things, but players also like to win. To mitigate this friction while you are learning the nuances of a hero, we generally will continue to aim for the safe side of strong, which our hero releases, and then tune them where necessary. In situations where the hero's kit contains mechanics we describe as more sharp or potentially polarizing, say we were to release Widowmaker again, we may exercise more caution with this approach. We aimed to make sure Illari was powerful, and we were happy to see she launched in an impactful game-changing state, but it is more important to evaluate where that power is coming from. A lot of her initial power budget was trapped up in healing pylon and her lethality, I should say. Despite its potency, the healing pylon itself can feel invisible throughout a match due to its fire and forget automated healing. It was one of the first things that we tuned for a few reasons. First, it can create situations that resemble stalemates. Next, breaking through the line of defense to shoot the pylon can already be a difficult task. It shouldn't be hard to kill once you're shooting it. Finally, as a more passive ability, it does not have the immediate impact and satisfaction of other elements in her kit, like her primary and secondary fire. Going forward, we'll continue to iterate on Illari's balance while also making sure she doesn't feel muted. We think there's still a good amount of room there, and we'll be making an adjustment to her secondary fire healing in Season 7. So I wonder if that means they're going to nerf her healing output on her alternate fire. Maybe they could buff it, but I can't really see that. I kind of do agree with what he says about the healing pylon, but I do still think Illari as a hero is really good. And this idea of the safe side of strong, I mean, for me, I think with her, she's got a lot of transferable skills. So yes, while he does touch on the idea of maybe you've got heroes you play for thousands of hours, you know, if you've played a lot of Anna, for example, or even any kind of hit scan hero, let's say, anybody who requires aim, you can just drop straight onto Illari and have an impact with a primary fire. Yeah, she's a support, and yeah, it's not as powerful as a DPS, but also you've got that healing component to your kit as well. So there is crossover. So the skill sets blend, and you can just sort of morph into the hero. Whereas I think Lifeweaver was the complete opposite. It was just completely different. Nobody really wanted to deal with it. It had no impact, and people were just like, no, this is terrible. And probably resulted in hardly any battle passes getting sold relative to other seasons, which is why they need to, what do they say? Err on the safe side of strong. Layers of balance. Now let's talk about some recent balance changes and how we approach our start of season and mid-season updates. There are a few goals when we're approaching balancing in Overwatch 2, but two that are consistently front of mind are that hero changes should be an improvement to the game experience, whether that be on the individual hero themselves or to the overall metagame, and to also keep the game feeling fresh across seasons. With these goals in focus, we aim to make impactful changes that meaningfully inject themselves into the gameplay loop of a hero. There also may be a number of tuning alongside those, but we don't want to be in a world of arbitrarily injecting changes by shifting the same numbers up and down from season to season, like Soldier 76's primary fire damage, for example. So, while a balance update may have reactive changes that look to knock down some of the top performing heroes, it should also have changes that evoke intrigue and have you asking questions like, how does this new ripple on an ability affect my matchups? When considering non-reactive changes to heroes, we usually begin with a question or overarching goals. Let's take the recent Zarya changes as an example. Our aim here was to add more incentive to Zarya bubbling allies versus using 2 bubbles for herself, a fairly common behavior. How do we incentivize that enough? How do we make it noticeable in-game? A common strategy we employ here is to layer multiple changes onto a hero that all help to achieve our stated goal. For Zarya, that was the reduced cooldown for using a bubble on an ally, plus the increased size of the ally bubble, plus the increased health of the bubble. While this strategy comes up against our overall complexity goals, layering allows us to have individual changes that work synergistically together without needing to have any particularly extreme individual changes. This also helps when we want to further fine-tune what we're trying to achieve as we can easily remove any number of those smaller layered changes as needed. If we are willing to pull back quickly enough, layering is an approach that we'll continue to utilize in certain instances. For Zarya, we are going to be pulling back the size of the ally bubble plus the health of the ally bubble, but we're keeping the reduced cooldown. Okay, I want to say something on this because I've kind of been against this, and when I've read this in patch notes in the past, I could never understand. I mean, it started with Soldier. I could never understand why they buffed his healing, his damage. It's like they've just gone through and buffed everything. Like, what are you trying to do? But it's quite clear now. They've got this layers of balance, layers of fear style going on where they're just buffing everything. They're basically just looking at the hero win rates and going, this hero needs to win more, so let's just buff everything about the hero so people can just get straight onto the hero and just have an impact. That's what they've done with Zarya. I mean, Zarya in the game right now is strong because a bubble is massive when you put it on an ally, and it can take more damage, so you get more charge from it, and because it's physically bigger, more people hit it, so you get more charge. You're more lethal as Zarya. But now they've decided, oh wait, the 3 buffs we've gave that are too much, so let's roll back 2 and just keep 1. It's a very odd way. I mean, they could have just increased the size of the bubble and left it as that. They could have just reduced the cooldown and left it as that. But I think what he's trying to say here is, yeah, that wouldn't be enough. If we just reduce the cooldown, people wouldn't go, oh, this is a great buff, this is something I want to play. So we're going to reduce the cooldown, increase the size, and then, you know, it's like this massive effect where people look at it and think, wow, it's super OP, I've got to play this now. And I think that's what he's basically trying to say. Coming soon. Looking closer at Season 6 in the current metagame, we've seen Bastion, Orisa and Torbjourn rise in popularity. The standout amongst them has been Bastion. He's been succeeding at all ranks and is higher than we'd like at the highest levels of play, around 55% unmirrored win rate. We're happy with the added reliability to his primary fire and tactical grenade, but we are going to remove his armor repair when transforming into configuration assault. That has made Bastion quite difficult to kill, even when out of position. A note here, in the middle of writing this blog, we decided to hotfix this change earlier than Season 7. So this is actually live right now. This went live yesterday, if you guys are watching this video on the day it went live. Some of the adjustments that we are reverting or pulling back on at the start of Season 7. Orisa's fortified damage reduction, so that's being reverted. Torbjourn's primary fire recovery time, reverted. Mei's changes that we introduced in Season 5, on those reverts to Mei, it is important to recognise when a swathe of changes isn't resulting in improved gameplay. Our goal of trying to reintroduce some of her previous minigame to her primary fire was a good one, but it resulted in a hero that was more frustrating to play against, especially from a tank point of view, and wasn't clearly more engaging or effective to play. So was it called Deep Freeze or something, the Mei effect? I can't remember off the top of my head, but that thing where she does damage to you for a certain amount of time with primary fire, and it stacks up the slow, but then she can alternate fire you for a burst of damage. They're just getting rid of that. But what's interesting here is getting rid of the Orisa changes, the Torbjourn changes, and also the Mei changes. It's like they're just rolling back their changes. They've made changes and they're just rolling them back. I mean, it's good if you admit you got things wrong, but it's a bit odd, isn't it, just to see wholesale removal or reversal of balance changes. Very strange. Okay, so yeah, I think we kind of summed up each paragraph as we went along there. Like I kind of added my own little bit to it. But I want you guys to let me know in the comments below, what do you think? What do you actually think about the balance of the game right now? I mean, I'll be honest, this season I've pretty much exclusively just played Illari, and I've only really played her in small bursts. Like I sit down, maybe play for an hour or 2 hours, maybe go and do something for a couple of days and come back and play her again. Every time I've jumped onto her, she does feel really good. She feels really fun to play. She doesn't work in every team comp, and there's been times where I've played Moira, I would admit, or even Anna. But yeah, I've really enjoyed playing her, so I think they've nailed her as a new hero. PvE I've not touched since the day it went live, and in fact, if you try and play PvE right now, the queue just takes forever, so you just end up with AI teammates anyway, so that's really dropped off the face of the planet. But anyway, yeah, keep this on balance, guys. What do you think about the state of balance right now? Obviously, Bastion was in every game because he was super powerful. I still think he's probably going to be in every game, so I don't think the armor nerf is enough. But we'll have to wait and see. But what I think is really interesting here is this idea of reversing a lot of the changes. And of course, we've got that recap of the proposed, I should say, reworks to Roadhog and Sombra. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I've been Stylos, and I'll catch you lovely lot on the next video. See you soon.